There's a version of you that exists 10 years from now. Same person, same name, same face, mostly. But financially, completely different situation, depending on one decision. You're either making correctly or incorrectly right. Now, today, in this exact season of your life. And the wild thing is, it's not the decision you think it is. It's not whether you invested in crypto or avoided it. Not whether you bought a house or kept renting. Not whether you chose the right career or picked the wrong industry. It's something so ordinary, so completely normalized in your social circle, so thoroughly embedded in how people your age think about money that almost nobody identifies it as a mistake until they're standing on the wrong side of it 10 years too late. I've seen this play out enough times that it stopped surprising me. High earners in their late 30s staring at bank accounts that should look completely different given how hard they worked for the past decade. Smart, capable people genuinely confused about where the money went. Not because they were reckless. Not because they were irresponsible. Because they made this one specific mistake. Quietly, consistently, at precisely the worst possible. Time to make it. Let's talk about what it actually is. Your 20s and 30s sit inside the most valuable financial window of your entire life. Not because you earn the most during this period. You almost certainly don't. Not because you have the most wisdom about money. You almost certainly don't have that either. Because of time. Pure, irreplaceable, non-renewable time. Every financial concept that actually builds wealth, compound interest, investment growth, asset appreciation, runs on time as its primary fuel. The longer money has to grow, the more dramatic the results. This isn't a motivational metaphor, it's mathematics. And the mathematics of compounding in your 20s and 30s is so disproportionately powerful compared to any other decade that the difference is almost difficult to believe when you see the actual numbers. So the financial mistake almost everyone makes during this window isn't a single bad decision. It's a sustained pattern of behavior that wastes the most valuable resource you possess during the exact years when wasting it costs the most. The mistake is treating your 20s and 30s as a preparation period for real financial life rather than as the most financially critical decade of your existence. And it shows up in a very specific way that most people never recognize because it feels completely reasonable while it's happening. Let me show you the mistake through two people. Both are 24. Both just landed their first real jobs. Both earn $52,000 a year. Both are reasonably responsible adults who intend to get serious about money eventually. The first one, let's call her Early Elena, starts investing. $300 a month immediately. Not because she has it completely figured out. Not because she's particularly disciplined. Just because someone told her to start and she did. She invests $300 a month from age 24 to age 35. 11 years and then stops completely. Never invests another dollar. Just lets what she built sit and compound for the next 30 years. The second one, let's call him Later. Leo spends his 20s and early 30s doing what most people do, telling himself he'll get serious about investing once he has more money, once the student loans are paid, once he figures out the right strategy, once life settles down a bit. At 35, he finally starts investing. The $300 a month consistently from 35 to 65, 30 years of investing, nearly 3 times as long as Elena. At 65, Elena has approximately $940. Leo has approximately $610,000. Elena invested for 11 years. Leo invested for 30. Elena put in $9,600 total. Leo put in $180 total. Elena stopped investing before Leo even started. And Elena still wins by $330,000 because she started 11 years earlier. That gap, $330,000, is not the result of better investment choices. It's not better income. It's not superior discipline or smarter strategy. It's just 11 years of time that Leo spent waiting until he felt ready. This is the mistake. Right here. In those years of waiting. Here's why this particular mistake is so hard to catch. It doesn't look like one thing. It shows up wearing 5 different completely reasonable-sounding disguises. Disguise 1. I'll invest once my debt is paid off. Debt repayment is genuinely important. High-interest debt especially should be addressed. But the version of this belief that keeps people from investing anything until every debt is eliminated can cost years of compound growth for the sake of avoiding investments that would historically outperform the interest rate on the debt being paid. The nuance matters here. Paying off a credit card at 22% interest before investing makes mathematical sense. Refusing to invest a single dollar until a 5% student loan is fully repaid might cost you far more in lost compound growth than the interest saves. Disguise 2. I need to understand investing better before I start. This one sounds responsible. Financial education is genuinely valuable. But the quest for perfect understanding before taking any action is one of the most common forms of productive procrastination in personal finance. A broad market index fund requires about 40 minutes of research to understand well enough to start. The additional years of research produce diminishing informational returns while the compounding years quietly evaporate. Disguise 3. I don't earn enough yet to invest meaningfully. The psychological barrier here is the gap between what investing feels like, something significant people with significant money do, and what it actually requires, which can be as low as $50 or $100 a month. The amount matters less than starting, because starting builds the habit, the account, and most importantly, the time. Disguise 4. I'm still figuring out my career and life situation. Uncertainty about the future is real in your 20s. Job changes, city changes, relationship changes. The instability is genuine. But investment accounts don't care about your life situation. They just compound. And the compounding that happens during your most uncertain years is mathematically identical to compounding in your most settled ones. Disguise 5. I'll make up for it later by investing more. This is the most mathematically dangerous disguise of all because it sounds plausible. Just put in more money later. But as the Elena and Leo example shows, later dollars, even significantly more, later dollars cannot mathematically catch earlier dollars given enough compounding time. The window doesn't reopen, it just narrows. Here's the psychological truth underneath all 5 disguises. The human brain is catastrophically bad at making decisions that involve long-time horizons. Not because people are stupid, because our brains evolved for immediate survival in environments where next week was about as far ahead as thinking practically needed to go. Behavioral economists call this hyperbolic discounting. It means we naturally discount the value of future rewards at a rate far beyond what's mathematically rational. The future self, the 45-year-old or 60-year-old version of you, doesn't feel real in the same way. The present moment feels real. Their needs, their financial situation, their quality of life register as abstract rather than immediate. And abstract things don't motivate behavior the way immediate things do. This is why the waiting feels harmless. The cost of not investing today isn't experienced today. The lost compound growth doesn't show up on any statement. There's no notification that says, you just forfeited $340 in future wealth by not investing this month. The loss is invisible in the present and enormous in the future, which is the exact profile of cost that the human brain is worst at responding to. The financial industry has solved for almost every variable in wealth building. Better investment vehicles, better tax structures, better access to markets. The one variable it cannot solve for you is time. That one is entirely yours, and it runs whether you use it or not. 3 moves. Concrete, actionable, immediately executable. First, start with whatever number doesn't require thinking. not the optimal number, not the number you'll start with once you figure out the budget. The number that you can transfer today without a single anxiety-producing calculation. For some people, that's 50. For some, it's $200. The amount is almost irrelevant at this stage. Starting the account, establishing the habit, and claiming the time is what matters. You can optimize the amount later. You cannot reclaim the years you spent optimizing before starting. Second, automate it before lifestyle inflation absorbs the raise. The single most predictable opportunity to meaningfully increase your investment rate is immediately after a salary increase, before your spending has had time to expand to fill the new income. Set up an automatic increase to your investment contribution the same week a raise takes effect, not next month, that week, because the lifestyle will adjust to whatever number lands in your checking account. And the only way to claim a portion of the raise for your future self is to redirect it before your present self has a chance to spend it. Third, make your future self emotionally real. This sounds like psychology homework, but it has measurable financial impact. Research from Stanford shows that people who are shown age-progressed images of themselves, their actual face aged forward, allocate significantly more money to retirement savings immediately afterward. The future self became more real and the financial behavior responded accordingly. You can replicate this effect with specificity. Write down what you want your financial life to look like at 45, not vaguely, specifically. What does a Wednesday morning look like? What decisions can you make? What obligations don't exist? The more vivid and specific the future self, the more powerfully it competes with the present moment for your attention and your money. Subscribe to Real Veil Studios for exactly this kind of financial clarity, content that cuts through the noise and gets directly to the decisions, and the psychology that actually determine your financial outcome. Hit subscribe because the next video covers something that connects directly to everything we discussed today. 10 years from now, you're going to be somewhere financially. That's not motivational. That's just arithmetic. Time passes whether you use it or not. The question isn't whether a future version of you exists. It's what financial position they're standing in when they get there. And the interesting thing about that future version of you is that they cannot go back. They can only work with what the current version, you, right now, chose to build during the window that is still open. The mistake almost everyone makes in their 20s and 30s isn't dramatic. It doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. It feels like reasonable caution, responsible patience, smart waiting. But compounding doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It runs for the people who started imperfectly, and it stays still for the people who kept waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment was whenever you had access to an investment account and $1 to put in it. If that moment has passed, the second best moment is today. Not next month when the budget is cleaner, not next year when life settles down, not after the debt is paid or the strategy is perfected or the timing feels right. Today. Because 10 years from now, the version of you looking back at this moment will either be grateful you started or wish you had. Make sure they're grateful.